Well, good morning, everybody. Grace and peace to you from our Lord Jesus Christ and all the saints here in Central California. I am back here in that closet. This is our closet for, it's a new med-surg unit, so medical surgical unit. I'm working on this switch again. This is going to be a continuation of the stacking cable problem that we're having. So I went ahead and ran a command here to show you what the issue is. Can we see it? So hopefully we can see that. Not too glary. There we go. There we go. So you see at the bottom there, see on switch 1, it'll say slot number 1, but it's switch 1. Ports 1 and 2 are operational. Switch 2, stacking port 1, says there's no neighbor. So the first thing I'm going to try to do, so that says slot 2. So we go down here, here's slot, or port 1, port 2. So it says port 2, there is no neighbor. So, or no, wait a minute, port 1, there is no neighbor. This guy, which goes up to this guy up here. So this cable here, going up to this port here. I already replaced that cable once, but you know, stranger things have happened. Sorry for all the camera jockeying here. Stranger things have happened that, you know, maybe that would be better up there. In the box, put it on the box. That I pulled a bad cable out of the spares pool. So I have a spare cable right over here. I'm going to try to replace that cable with one that I took out some switches that I just decommissioned. And so I know that this one was working. Luckily, hello everybody. These are hot swappable, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this switch, or this cable between switch number 1 and switch number 2. Again, these are connected in a ring, so it goes from this switch, cable down to this switch, cable down to this switch down here, which you can barely see, and then that comes back up to this switch on this long cable here. So it's okay to remove this while it's running. But not that. Be careful what we're doing here. I don't want this switch 1 and switch 3 to lose communications with each other, because there's an uplink from switch 1, there's an uplink from switch 3. And if they lose communications to each other, they both think they're the master, they both grab hold of the IP, and we've got duplicate IP out there, and that can cause all kinds of havoc on the network. So this cable is now removed, and it's about to fall on the floor. There it is. Now let's do this command again and see what we have. Show stacking stack. So now we see switch 1 has a link down, switch 2 has a link down. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. So link down, that's the cable I just removed. So let's put the new cable in and see if maybe I just grabbed a bad cable. All right, sorry, that's a little tilted. All right, I'm going to put this new cable in back here. And yeah, some of you commented, oh, why are they using these proprietary cables? And you know, they offered me a choice, and I went with the proprietary cables again because that was kind of the paradigm I was used to. Their old switches, they had dedicated stacking cables like this, so that's what I wanted. These switches here, you can either use the dedicated stacking cables, in which case you have to buy these ports here, and or you can use the SFP ports on the front but I wanted to use those all for uplinks. So, all right, got it plugged in. There's a green light on that side, and there's a green light on this side. See them flashing, they're talking to each other. Let's type this command again. We're gonna do an up arrow. Type the command again. Okay, so it says still no neighbor. Port 2. So port 2, no, I'm sorry, port 1 on switch 2. So port 1. Okay, have I been doing, okay. Port 1 on switch 2. Yeah, this guy here. That's the cable I just replaced. I have to double check these things. So just replaced it. This port on this switch is not seeing a neighbor up here. So we know it's not the cable, so it's going to be either this card or this card. Which card is it? So how are we going to find that out? Now, Extreme gave me some ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there's only a few ports that are actually in use here. Let's step right through the rack here. So if I come over here to switch 2, there's like a few, I don't even know if you can see them. Where's my finger? Okay, there's just like 1, 2, 3, 4 devices there, and then one device way down there that's actually in use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cables from those ports and patch them to a different switch. And then I'm going to do some monkey business with that switch. I'm going to have to see, how am I going to do this now? Because I have to be consoled into that switch, and it may not let me because this guy's the master. Let me think about this. Or what I could do is just go get another port, another one of those modules and swap it out. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because what Extreme Head wants me to do, just so you know, what they want me to do is isolate this switch and then take a cable, one of these, and just wrap it from port 1 to port 2, and then see if it shows up as operational. But I think it might be easier to just move all the devices off this switch, power it down, and then replace this module, because I do have spares of that. I like that. So tell you what, I'm going to put you guys on pause for just a few minutes while I go get one of those over in the storeroom. It's a little bit of a walk. I don't want you guys having to sit there and watch me walk across the campus. So let's go on pause, and I'll be right back once I have the new module. Hey guys, just waking up my camera, making sure it doesn't go to sleep, and showing you that here in California, or at least in my part of California, the Central Valley, we've got 2 seasons. We don't have winter, summer, spring, and fall. We've only got 2 seasons. We've got hot and dusty, or cold and foggy. It is cold and foggy out here right now. It's a sunny day up there, but around about wintertime, the fog sets here into the valley. We get like 300 miles of fog, and what a fun time that is. Can't wait for the sun to come back. And it's only been gone a day. All right, I'm gonna keep walking over to my storeroom, and we'll catch up in a few minutes. All right, we are back from my pleasant walk. I don't know which way to look on this thing. I guess I gotta look at that little green dot, or else you guys think I'm looking off to the side like all crazy-eyed. So I'm back from my little walk. Everything all tucked in here. This is what the module looks like. This is what I'm going to be replacing. That's the guts. And There's where the cables plug in. These are not hot swappable. So what I have to do, I have to power this switch off. And what I'm going to do is, since there are only like 2, 3, 4, 5 devices active on it, I'm just going to patch them up into this other switch right above it, and so that they'll stay up while I power that switch down. The stack should stay active because there's communication between the other 2 switches in the stack. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to move those cables over, and we'll get going. So I'll be right back. All right, so I have moved them. You see that all the ports on this switch now say ready instead of active. So let me wait a few minutes and make sure those things all come up. They look like they are all up. Oh, it's cold outside. Let me try to ping something and see if it's there. So let's do. Sorry, gonna have to just watch from the side there. I don't want you to see IP addresses. Show node alias ports 1 through 20. Ports 1 through 20. Okay. And let's see if we can ping this one. Yep, I can ping that guy. Not sure I can ping the others. And let's do show alias port 48. I should see 2. Yep, I see a phone and a PC. I can ping the PC. And I can ping the phone. Okay, so I have successfully moved those devices off. So let's look at the stacking again. All right, so what I'm going to do, basically, any of the ports that were active down here on this switch, there are no more active ports. I've just verified that. I basically just repatched them up to the switch above. So, and luckily for me, these are 2 very unused switches. So what I'm going to do now, with much trepidation, here, let me get this phone angled so you can see what I'm going to do. With much trepidation, I'm going to pull the power on this switch here, one in the middle. So let me loosen the strain relief so I can actually pull the cables, pull the power plugs. Okay, here goes power plug number 1. Here goes power plug number 2. Those red lights mean it does not have power. Let's check the switch. All right, we can see slots 1 and 3 are active, 2 is down. That is an expected result. And make sure I can still ping those other devices. And I can ping the devices I moved up to the upper switch. So the switch is still there, it's still active, but we have just simulated it losing a node, which is kind of good. So I'm going to swap out this whole module. And then this cable, set it aside over here. cable. Set it aside over here. So how are these switches communicating? One might ask. I'll put that over here so I know where it is. Stay there. I know which one goes where. So right now, these two switches are communicating with each other through this one long cable right there. So that's how they're still communicating. And what we want to do is swap this module out. So I'm going to pull it and put the new one in. I wonder if just reseating it would fix it, but I'll test it later to see if it's still working. Okay. This module is coming out. Set it aside over there. I'm going to get the new module from the currently working stack. Plug it in. There's a couple of rails you have to line up to make sure it goes in correctly. Snap that in. Turn the thumb screws. Kind of alternate on these thumb screws side to side. You don't want to cinch one side down tight and then the other because it'll be off kilter. So S1 to S2. S1 to S2. Saying S, port 1 to port 2. They're labeled S on the back. Make sure you get those right. So we basically go port 2 to port 1, and then port 2 to port 1, and then port 2 to port 1. That finishes off the ring. All right, let's power this bad boy back up. Strain relief back on. Just wondering what they look like. That's how they do strain relief. There's on this side. Where is it? Sorry. There's this cable. This cable or this tie wrap here basically pulls it close to the unit. And then this tie wrap here on top, well, it's not a tie wrap, but it works the same way. Cinch that around and it holds it tight. So it holds the cable tight and it won't back off. In case you're wondering how that all works. So let's go over here, see if we get some indications. Okay, see it's already come back up and it knows that it's number 2, so that's good. Switch slot 2 in the stack. Switch to slot 2, whatever you do. All right, let me type the command to check on the stack. Show stacking stack ports. They say stacking stack. Hey, look at that. This is what we should see. So if you remember before, let me find it. I've been typing a whole lot of commands. And remember before on slot number 2, port 1, we saw no neighbor. See it right there? No, neighbor. Now if we come back down, slot 2, port number 1, we see is operational. So what I'm going to do is, I'm glad it was that. That's easy. If it was going to be the one in the top switch, that would have been it. That still would have been easy, but I'd rather not mess with it. That's the master of the stack, and it's just going to be kind of a pain. I'm glad it wasn't that switch. So, hang on, I'm trying to get a thing here so I can talk. Yeah, I mean, it'd be okay if I had to power this switch down, because if you look, the way we're connected is I have uplinks from this top switch, the master switch. There's the uplinks, and then on the bottom, I have the have uplinks. And either one of these switches can serve as a backup master. So as long as either this switch stays powered up, as long as this top switch and this bottom switch don't get powered down at the same time, the stack will stay up. Whoever's on whatever edge devices are connected on this switch would go down, but the rest of them would survive and keep working. So there you go. Well, I'm happy about that. We got something solved. So looks good. All right, so I'm going to clean up here. We're going to call this good. I'm going to get back to Extreme and let them know what we found. And I'm going to have them RMA this guy. Actually, what I may do is do what he said. I'm going to go put it back in another switch and loop these 2 ports and see what we find. And if that works, then maybe this just wasn't seated fully, or the connector was dirty. I don't know. I may have them RMA it anyway. You know, they don't care. You know, they'll test it, and if it tests good, they'll throw it right back in their spares pool. So, all right, problem solved. So my 2 problems I had to fix this week was the firewall disk problem, which you saw you will see, you will have seen it in another video where we got the disk problem fixed on the firewall. And this guy was my only other problem. So I'm going to clean up here, put this Velcro back on, make sure all these cables are nice and tight, and we'll call this one wrapped up. So as always, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, thumbs up, thumbs down. And remember, these are completely unscripted, unrehearsed, off the cuff, and Jesus is Lord. That's it. All right, guys. God bless. Thanks for watching. Keep praying for each other, and we'll see you next week.